a lot of other reasons to be agitated. We are now witnessing, and this is, well, we're not quite there yet with the Joe Biden administration, but when we do get to a Joe Biden administration, knock on wood, the playing field shifts. And the roadblock to any type of, really, I want to say progressive, but I could also just simply say most popular reforms in the country will be Democrats in one half, I don't know, 1/3, 5/8 of the party. So we have people like Dianne Feinstein, and I could understand coming out and saying, or holding, or keeping one's powder dry right now about packing the court or any other court reforms, because I'm open to both packing the court and also diminishing the power of the court. I would be open to both simultaneously, frankly. And one can come up with an argument that it makes sense to keep the powder dry because nothing is going to prevent Mitch McConnell from taking this vote. If he has 50 votes, and now it appears he might have 51, but if he has 50 and Mike Pence comes in, he has the votes. And if he has the votes, he will seat a Supreme Court justice because he understands, many people do, that a 6-3 court where Brett Kavanaugh becomes the swing vote can inhibit everything from single-payer health care to a Green New Deal or even like a green, not quite New Deal to the capacity of executive agencies to regulate banking industry, food, suppliers, distributors, drug manufacturers. I mean, the 6-3 conservative court, abortion rights is going to have a dramatic effect on this country. And this is Mitch McConnell's legacy. He will fulfill it. I have talked to people who know the workings of the Senate, people who have worked for a Democratic Senate majority leader. There is nothing that can be done. You can gum up the works, but not enough. There's just simply no way to stop him if he has the votes. There's just no way of doing it. You can hold up the continuing resolution. The government can shut down, and apparently the Senate can still hold confirmation hearings. Democrats can not show up, and they may not. But they may decide to show up to show the American public what they're getting in terms of Supreme Court justice, or they may say that they're not. It doesn't matter. There's no continuing resolution. There's no withholding unanimous consent that will run out the clock. There's simply no way to stop it if he's got the votes. And people were holding out hope. Murkowski, Collins have said that they wouldn't take this vote before the election. Susan Collins is in great jeopardy. Her brand is such that if she said she had to vote, if she voted for this, she'd be in bigger trouble than she is now. Mitch McConnell released her because he knew he had the other votes. But what about Cory Gardner on the ropes in Colorado? Well, Cory Gardner probably wants to work in Republican politics or be a lobbyist or something like that. So he's going to go along with it. But what about Mitt Romney? In fact, it was just a couple of days ago that one of Mitt Romney's closest political advisors chastised me for simply saying that that Mitt Romney was a nice guy, because apparently I didn't realize how honorable he was. Here is a reminder of that clip. This is Stuart Stevens. My whole thing is I try not to be friends or know anybody I can possibly know in politics, so I don't really assess them.
Can I just say something? It's
Sure.
a little bit condescending to say he's a nice guy.
Well, okay.
Because
I don't.
No, because if ever we've had a lesson that character matters and the quality of the person matters, it's right now. So
Fair enough.
Mitt Romney stood up to Trump, that he called out Trump in April. It's more than just being nice. He's actually been courageous about this, that he would be the only person in his party that would vote for impeachment. So I think that
what's the polling? Okay. Trump's approval rating in Utah. I mean, he's going to win because people don't want to vote for a Democrat, but his approval rating's around 52%. So pretty bold stuff. But here's the problem with the concept of a never Trumper, of a man whose character is judged simply because he voted for impeachment of a president who clearly deserved to be impeached. The issue with this justice sitting down is that Mitch McConnell denied Barack Obama a choice. It really didn't even matter who it was. I mean, Merrick Garland was about as, moderate a choice as you could get, as least offensive choice as you could get to Mitch McConnell. Didn't matter who it was. They denied him a choice, even though there was a vacancy starting in February of 2016. Mitch McConnell allowed there to be 8 justices for almost a year. In fact, I think it was a year. He changed the number of sitting justices to 8 based upon a principle that he completely threw out the window when, of course, it was politically expedient. Now, I'm not surprised by that. But it is despicable. I mean, if you are really resting your hat on this type of honor, then you would imagine that someone with such honor and such integrity would step to the fore and say, hey, in 2016, this Senate said we would not have hearings for a Supreme Court justice with an imminent election. And by gosh, because I have so much integrity and honorability, I will uphold that principle. What's good for the goose or the gander is good for the other goose or gander or whatever it is. And so here I give you Mitt Romney with such a bold statement.
The side of the Constitution and precedent as I've studied it, and make the decision on that basis.
Senator Trump, you said that in your release that you would look at nominees' qualifications. What qualifications are you looking for, and what would make you not consider someone that President Trump is putting forward?
Well, I think it's straightforward in terms of the qualifications you look for, which is someone who is an expert of the law, someone who has a record of fairness and judgment that you think is consistent with the law. I prefer choosing those folks who are, if you will, strict constructionists, meaning that they look at the law itself and the Constitution, as opposed to sort of looking into the sky and pulling out ideas that they think may be more appropriate than either the law or the Constitution. So I recognize that we may have a court which has more of a conservative bent than it's had over the last few decades. But my liberal friends have, over many decades, gotten very used to the idea of having a liberal court. And that's not written in the stars. And I know that a lot of people are saying, gosh, we don't want that change. I understand the energy associated with that perspective. But it's also appropriate for a nation which is, if you will, center-right, to have a court which reflects center-right points of view, which, again, are not changing the law from what it states, but instead following the law and following the Constitution.
Senator Romney.
Okay, so there it is, Mitt Romney saying that somehow he's completely ignoring the fact that there was a seat stolen from Barack Obama, and completely ignoring as if that happened because he's so honorable. Also, he's so honorable that he recognizes this is a center-right country, despite the fact that there has not been a Republican president who won his first term in office with a majority of votes of this country since Ronald Reagan. George Bush did not win the majority of votes in 2000. He won in 2004 as an incumbent. His father did not get a majority of votes. You got to go back to Ronald Reagan. You've got a Senate that is dominated by 45% of the country. And so this, I give you, is the man of great honor. But Republicans are going to do as Republicans do. Well, it doesn't matter if they're against Trump, because they still have an agenda to that is contrary to the vast majority of people in this country. And 100% of them do. That's the difference. There's no doubt in my mind that there's a third of the Democratic caucus in the Senate are people that we could not rely on ideologically in most circumstances or many circumstances. But with the Republicans, you get 100% guarantee. Murkowski, incidentally, won, I think, a write-in candidacy. Susan Collins is just a liar. If they needed her vote, she'd be there, believe me.